Hi, I'm Sean Irvin with the Planning Commission. I'm the current chair, and we're going to do a planning preview of our upcoming August 8th Planning Commission meeting. That is a week later than normal, so please watch for that coming up on August 8th. I have with me today Jeff Schmidt with the Planning and Zoning Department of Sioux Falls.
Hi.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We'll be going over some of the items we'll be looking at in that upcoming August 8th meeting. And I see the first item on our agenda is a rezone from S1 general institutional to RA2 apartment residential. Let's see, it was 6300 West 41st Street. That must be just east of Roosevelt High School,
Just east of Roosevelt High School. And the video, obviously, we talked about this at Planning Preview. The pictures are worth 1,000 words, so people will recognize this right away. This is the Assembly of God, the Sioux Falls First. It is that facility, and they have some land in the back of their campus, the back of their facility, that has been vacant for a long time. They would like to parcel this off and sell off that back lot. They're currently zoned S1, institutional. It's a church, it's a school, it's a daycare, and in the back there, if they could, they would like to sell that off and build apartments on that land. As we say at all planning previews, the process that you go through is they notify the property owners, we put signs up, we put the legal notices together, then they come to Planning Commission, we have public testimony, we look at the pros and the cons, is there any issues, and then Planning Commission, on any of these rezonings, they make a decision, and whatever decision Planning Commission makes, it goes forward to City Council. So why I'm going into a lot of details in this one is because this has been going on outside of the public hearing for quite a while. This applicant has had neighborhood meetings. They've talked to the neighbors about it. The neighborhood is concerned. They have issues where they would like to make sure drainage is being addressed and traffic is being addressed. So we understand that. We'll make sure we look at it when it comes to a public hearing. If it's August 8th, or September 5th, we don't know yet, but if it's August 8th, we'll make sure that we'll, have that knowledge and make sure things are being addressed. But again, as I tell everybody, Planning Commission makes a recommendation to City Council. City Council ultimately makes the decisions.
Right. And like we talked about last month, drainage and traffic, those are reviewed by other agencies
Correct.
Within the city.
Yeah.
Not necessarily part of our decision, but it's always fine to have that input
Right.
and let the public speak their minds so that it's in the minutes and all of those recorded
Right. And again,
elements.
yeah, that's a great point to bring up, Sean, because I didn't even realize this was on the agenda when we talked about this last month at Planning Preview. And it was rainy, and it's continuing to be rainy again this month. So the neighbors always bring it up, and I say, I understand you have drainage issues and concerns. We would too, and we will look at it, but it has really no issue about whether or not this is S1 or RA2.
Right.
So drainage is always something that we'll look at. Building codes are something we're going to look at. Electrical, HVAC, those are all codes that have to be addressed.
Those all are requirements.
Are requirements.
And they won't go forward without meeting the requirements.
The requirements, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great point. Looks like our next item is a rezone from RT1 single family to RD1 twin home duplex at 509 North Covell. That must be over by the Japanese Gardens at Terrace Park.
Yes, it is. And it's an existing structure. It's existing residential. And they're in for some improvements or to look at this facility. And it's already a twin home townhome. So we are working with the property owner to correct a zoning issue. And it's not RT, which is residential traditional. It really is twin home townhome. So we're making that correction.
Okay, that makes sense. Looks like next one is a rezone from RD1 twin home to LW live work at 2801 North Career. That must be just a few blocks north of Maple, I'm guessing.
Yes, it is. Up in that northwest part of town, and they have, again, RD1 up there. They have some areas for some twin home townhomes, and they have some areas for live work. So they have this mix already. Live work for the citizens is hopefully, as we've explained it, it's for places where people can live or they can work. It's for apartments or offices. And what they want to do is continue to have that option and maybe build some apartments here. And so they're kind of blending that line. Right now they have twin homes and live work, and now they're just moving that line a little bit because they'd like to get an apartment complex in there.
So live work is really very similar to what we used to call mixed use development,
Yes.
where it has commercial maybe on the first floor and apartments above that, or things like that. That's the live work
you
that
can
you're
do them,
describing, right?
Yeah, mixed
Right.
use. You can do them side by side.
Sure.
You can go up above, and they already have it up there. They're just changing those property lines. We want to have it heard at Planning Commission. As you always say, talk about those property rights, hear what the people have to say, and then make a decision.
Right. Sounds good. Let's see. Next one looks like it is a rezone from C2 commercial to I1 light industrial at 5100 North Healy Lane, which must be near Cliff and I-90.
Took me a while to find that one.
It is a tough one to find. It's only like a block long,
Yeah,
right?
5100 North Healy, and the exhibits will show you where this is at, but 60th Street North, North Cliff Avenue, up in that area. There is some commercial land still, but there's also a lot of light industrial, this I-1, and they want to build some more warehouses. Distribution area, warehouse area, so they're making a recommendation, or they're bringing in this proposal to go to a warehouse building.
And it sounds like that might be a reasonable fit,
Yes.
considering the fact that it's a fairly good access to the interstate.
Correct.
And lots of
Yeah.
trucking traffic in the area. And
Which helps with the commercial too. The commercial wants the trucking traffic, but on this parcel it doesn't seem to have any difficulties. We'd look at traffic, we'd look at drainage, we'd look at building codes.
sure, absolutely. Sounds good. Let's see, the next one is a C4 commercial to CN conservation. Must be a tag along for what we discussed last
Yes.
month, another one of those kind of recognizing drainage areas, etc. This must be, let's see, 29 North and north of West 12th. So this must be by the near the fairgrounds again,
Yes,
right?
this one's
Okay.
behind the Cadillac dealership, behind the Billion dealership. It sits back there. There's some wooded area, but it's actually a depressed area before you get to the quarries. Not many people go back behind the Cadillac dealership, but city-owned property. It's a detention pond. We own it, we maintain it, we operate it. And just like last month, we're doing this one this month and maybe 2 or 3 others that will be on the agenda. Nothing's changing. We're not going to excavate this area. We're not going to change the size of it. It's staying the way it is, but they shouldn't be listed as commercial or single family. They should be listed as CN conservation areas. We want neighbors, citizens, any stakeholders to look at a map and go, oh, so that's a commercial area? No, that's not a commercial area. That's a detention pond.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see, looks like our next one is preliminary subdivision plan for the Donahoe Farms addition. This must be over by that roundabout at 69th and Southeastern.
Absolutely. Right down at 69th and Southeastern, south of 69th Street, west of Southeastern. They have their zoning in. They've got that approved. It's a standard subdivision. They have a mix of apartments, twin homes, and single family. The subdivision plan is really the layout for the streets, the lots, where the houses will be, where the structures will be, and that subdivision plan then shows the grades, the utilities, the water, the sewer, all those. And again, as we always say, the planning preview, this is the preliminary, this is their first blush. And then after that, they get comments. They bring another draft in, which is their developer's engineering plan, and then they have to do construction drawings after that.
Right, right. And like always, you talked about there being multifamily and twin homes and then residential, kind of a typical approach to trying to get some transitions that are not too abrupt between two items.
Correct. You have
So we
those
like to
busy
see that.
roads. For us, arterial streets, those trunks, those busy roads, 69th Street Southeastern, and how do you transition off of those into a neighborhood?
Right, right. Makes sense. Let's see, next one is, or the last one is a conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage at 5239 West 26th. This must be just north of Lake Lorraine, I'm guessing.
Yes, it is north of Lake Lorraine. It's at the southeast corner of Marion and 26th Street. I believe when I looked up, it's called the West Side Plaza. It may still be that called, but there's an existing retail center there. There's some different businesses in there, and they might have a tenant that's vacant. And so this tenant that's vacant wants to come in and open this facility that's called, for us, in our legalese, an on-sale alcohol beverage establishment. You can do off-sale, which is packaged liquor. They buy a 6-pack or buy a bottle and they leave. On-sale is you drink it there. So that's what they're planning to open there. And they'll bring in their proposal and we'll have a public hearing on it.
Yep, and just like always, we will see all of the reviews by city agencies, including police and
fire,
all of those planning items that the tenant or the owner has done prior to make sure that all of that is safe and correct.
And the most important one is, and we've talked about this a lot with our planning commissioners on planning preview, they have to have a security management plan. Before we can address these issues, they have to go to the police department and the police have to sign off on their security management plan.
Okay, good to know. Well, I think another item we wanted to talk about this month is public input.
Right.
You know, we've started doing some things a little bit different at our July meeting. We'll continue that into this August 8th meeting. We're going to be asking for a kind of non-agenda item input at the tail end of a couple of our meetings. We have a briefing meeting that's typically the day before our Planning Commission meeting. And at the end of that agenda, we'll offer the chance for public input. We're going to be limiting that input to no more than 5 minutes per person, and no more than 20 minutes total. That will somewhat limit that a little bit, but that's really out of respect for both commissioners' time and the rest of the public that does attend those meetings and their time. So we want to be sure that is done. And then at our regular Planning Commission meeting, we'll do it at the tail end of that as well. After all of our items are covered and all the people that have been doing all the careful planning to get those items onto the agenda, then we'll have that open comment about public input that's for non-agenda items. Again, it'll be limited to that 5 minutes and 20 minutes total, just to try and help to manage that a little bit. Obviously, 5 minutes is a maximum limit. I think that's what we talked about. And we'll make some of those announcements as we go through each of those meetings, just to let everybody know kind of what the parameters are. I think you and I talked about really we're trying to make sure that the subject matter for that comment is really focused on planning commission things that we're concerned about, whether it's
land
zoning,
use,
land use, could be comprehensive plan commentary, could be any number of things. Maybe it's a comment about billboards or something like that, something that's pertinent to what we have to consider as we look going forward, right?
Council made that issue known, and I thought it was really important that we don't want citizens to come to public input and ask you as the chairman to say, hey, can you change the ticket pricing at the Midco Aquatic Center? And they could give their 5-minute testimony, and then they look at you and you go, look, I'm planning commission, I have nothing to do with that. So we want them to understand, talk to us about things that we can look into, planning commission items. And it worked really well in July. We're going to continue to try it in August. And it's part of our public input too. If it's not working, we'll adjust accordingly. But you had just some great ideas that we receive public input on all of our agenda items. And then at the end of the items, we'll have public input on non-agenda items. And at that point, we can cover and make sure we're hearing from any other citizens that may be there as their first time at a public meeting in front of this body to go, I'm still confused, I missed something. We don't want it at the beginning where they go, okay, I didn't understand. Here's at the end of the meeting, we have this opportunity for them to talk to us and get some feedback, and then we can give them that dialogue and try to help them and then address their issues.
Right, and really it's kind of formatted in such a way we're looking for public input to us. It's not going to really be in a dialogue
No,
format
right.
or a question and answer type of thing. It's people should bring their thoughts, their comments, their whatever it might be, and present that to us, and that'll be taken into consideration for
Right.
either future action or future follow-up or whatever else that might be.
Yes, yep,
Right.
works well.
Well, we look forward to hearing from public. We always really appreciate having that kind of input, and I'd like to really thank you all for joining us. We love to hear that public commentary. We'd love to have you come out to each of our meetings, whether it's at the briefing or at the Planning Commission meeting. Look forward to seeing you on August 8th, which, remember, is 1 week later than normal. And thank you for joining us for this planning preview for the Sioux Falls Planning Commission.